So God spoke to me last night, honestly. Well, we didn't like talk. It wasn't like a convo. We weren't on like TeamSpeak or something, but he texted me because I don't know. He's hip nowadays. Him and those emojis need to stop though. I mean, it's ridiculous. Anyways, he told me, he said, Pone, goeth forth and doeth competitive. And I'm like, why? I'm like, what if I don't want to? And he said, I'm Yahweh, bitch. And I'm like, can't argue with that. So, honestly, I love competitive. You may not be a fan of Battlefield 4 right now, and I think that's starting to reflect. Some of my subscribers, some of you guys have been confident and reliable enough to say, Pone, I think your content slips occasionally. I see you complain a little bit more about Battlefield. But sometimes you just don't have nice things to say. And technically, I have to say something. I can't fall back to, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, twat. I can't do that. I kind of have to do Battlefield. It's kind of my job. And there are moments about the game that I absolutely love. So what I do is I like to play competitive. Believe it or not, I'm a competitive guy. Everything is, I set goals for myself, which is why I continue to want to ask you guys to support me and grow the channel. I'm going to keep growing. I will never be content with just stable or where I'm at. I always want to keep setting goals and becoming better. And competitive allows me to do this. Not only that, it also adds a different aspect to any game. Perfect example would be Modern Warfare 3. That game inhaled dick. Like, dick. And it was kind of really obnoxious. The game itself was horrible, but that was in a public setting. When you take away a lot of the flaws of a game, which generally is what competitive does, it makes it all about raw skill. Everybody has the same weapons at their disposal, so everybody does the same thing. Now, I broke my Modern Warfare 3 disc. Months later, I bought it again, started scrimming, playing against Optic. I met Nadeshot, Scumpy, a few of my friends, and had some fun. I got my shit pushed in. I used to consider myself a pretty solid player. I was a pub stomper, a guy that got famous on YouTube strictly because I had impressive gameplays. And I started playing some of these guys that were just much better than me, and it was because they had the experience. And that's just kind of a new aspect you get out of competitive. I thought I was hot shit until I started playing the pros, you know, playing the pros, and they just, my God, it was painful. They left me limping. And after a couple of weeks of time, I started, hey, hold my own. And it changed the way I played the game. It changed the way that I respected the game. And it changed the game entirely. It was like putting in an entirely different disc. It went from a game that I hated and I broke the disc entirely to it being one of my favorite competitive experiences ever on a game like Modern Warfare 3. And I never would admit that. But I think there's hope for Battlefield. Even though it's a flawed game, it has its problems. I think Battlefield needs a competitive thing. And I know there are a couple other circuits coming out nowadays that are picking up Halo again, that are going to be going for Call of Duty. Battlefield being a possibility. The way competitive in Battlefield is kind of going right now, and this is one of the big priorities. DICE, a handful of DICE employees at the start of the game, or before the game was even released, said competitive was a priority for them this time around. Maybe no crazy in-depth, super awesome spectator kind of thing, but they're working on things. That's why they added in the diffuse game type, or half of it. Sooner or later, they'll find a Band-Aid big enough for that fucking game type. But that's the goal, is they were trying to aim and adhere to that thing and bring a competitive setting, is because it brings new subscribers, new attentions, new people to the game. It opens up the competitive nature. Now, what has always kind of limited Battlefield is because Battlefield is unique for one reason. It's got the armor and the large scale. You could do 48-man, 64-man servers. That's awesome. You can't fit 64 nerds in a small room and call it a convention or something. You just can't do it. So the 2 teams is 64 people. That's a little extreme at 32 people per team. If you got 8 teams, that's like 9 bajillion people. Pardon my math. I'm not that good at it, but how do you get that many people to travel and get all this thing? It would be an expensive thing to start up. It's just not feasible. Something you couldn't do. So what they started doing was doing like 4v4, 5v5 domination. So they take the common objective game types and they implement those and make Battlefield like that. There is a future for that, not only for console, but for even PC. And the one thing that's always limited COD from being big on PC and it's always stuck to consoles because that's where the money is. Xbox, Microsoft, all these people, these companies pay money to MLG or whatever circuit they be happening to playing it on. And that's where it comes from. That's where the money flows. That's where it goes. So honestly, with things like MOBAs and League of Legends and everything opening up, more and more sponsors from the PC world are now stepping in, trying to get their feet wet. And that's exciting. That opens up things for competitive FPS everywhere. Now, a couple weeks back, I teased you guys with a few different things. I want to basically invent a large community for Battlefield. Now, this is going to be open to everyone. It needs to be something that needs to be heavily produced, heavily fortified, and supported, though. Now, I need to ask you guys whether or not you think this is a thing. I'd like to get a website built. I mean, just a temporary free one right now in the forums and everything for people to find free agents and get teams set up and everything like this. But to start doing this, eventually we'll open it up. If it gets great, maybe raise some money, get a professional web page built, maybe have tournaments, prizes, money on the line. It could evolve into something big. I even have a few contacts in a couple of these competitive circuits. I may be able to do something like that. So where it stands right now is I would just like to see a different part of the community. I feel PTFOing. The gap between competitive and objective play between Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 is appalling. The change is so obvious. It's like there's no objective play anymore, and it's kind of sad. And I think competitive will bring that back into it, and it also offers the opportunity for other people to watch it, maybe get behind it, maybe you'll have fans, maybe you'll have teams that you support, and it opens up an entirely different audience, and it gets you encouraged to play better, to play smarter, and to learn some new tactics and everything like that. Gun skill can only get you so far. It's the people that know how to communicate and work well together are generally how you push your game to the next level. I've played so many games that I thought I was good at, started playing competitive. A couple months into that, started playing pubbing, and even my pub game got better. So competitive, I think, is that savior for Battlefield. Battlefield 4 has had a really, really rocky release. A lot of people are upset with it, me included, and you guys are tired of me complaining about it. So this is my alternative to that. This is what I say could be something to help the game. It's available for PC. It's available for everything. The forums will be able to for people to sign up. Let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in. Of course, if it goes good, I'm going to start live streaming it, shoutcasting it, maybe get some prizes together, some sponsors. This thing has a lot of potential, and I'd like to do this, maybe even get other commentators and stuff involved. So it's a very, very exciting thing. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. Do you think Battlefield has a chance at competitive? Of course, it's not going to be at the scale that you think with PC, 32-man teams, 64 ultimate players, which is how I think Battlefield should be played, but it's just not something you can really easily take or affordably take to an event. And having it ran across the actual internet with pings and even hacking and everything going on, it's a very, very sketchy, kind of standard. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this commentary. I just wanted to kind of toss just an idea out there. And just plant that in your brain. Let me know if that works. I'm going to go hang out now and make a grilled cheese because I fucking love grilled cheese. Also, ducks.